Welcome to ATEC Training's Quick Start video series. Today we're going to be featuring model 840C. This is our Power Window Systems trainer. This is an excellent tabletop trainer that simulates an entire power window system that you can do instructor-led demonstrations. You can allow your students to explore and get a greater understanding of how a traditional power window circuit works, as well as perform some diagnostics and troubleshooting on power window motor circuitries and systems. So if you want to learn more about this, let's get your operations manual out and we'll get started. Let's take a moment to look at the parts and pieces that make up our 840C Power Window Systems trainer. The actual automotive components on this trainer are from a 2010 Chevy Malibu. Starting in the bottom right hand corner, we're going to find our system power switch. Moving up from there, we have our fuse block, which was traditionally found under the hood. We have a simulated door jar switch above that, as well as a simulated ignition switch here. Moving over to the car part components, we have our window motor for the passenger, as well as the switch that activates it. We have a dome lamp simulator here. On this side, we have our master power window switch for the driver, as well as the motor that drives it. Underneath that, we've got the passenger rear motor, as well as the switch you would find inside the car. Over here, we have our accessory relay that's controlled by our simulated body control module. Following up with our right rear window switch and our right rear motor. So all these parts and pieces are going to make up our simulation for doing training on a power window system. And now that we've got all of our parts and pieces defined, let's learn how to turn this thing on. Before you power up your 840C Power Window Systems trainer, you want to make sure you review all of the support material that was included with the purchase of your trainer. You're going to get a copy of the student manual, which includes student activities. You're going to get an instructor guide, which is going to include the answers to all the student activities, as well as information about the electrical wiring diagrams and where all the faults are located within the unit. You're also going to receive another book called the Operations Manual. The Operations Manual is going to cover everything I'm covering in this video plus some, and it is definitely the first book you want to read before using any of our trainers. And lastly, you're going to receive a section of the repair manual that covers the system's operations for the Chevy Malibu Power Window System and how it specifically operates for the General Motors car. Now, with that being said, let's take a look at how to power this on. If you'll notice down here on the bottom, we do have a power cord. It's right here. This plugs in 120 volt into the wall. Then it's going to go through a converter and it's going to provide DC power for our trainer. So we're going to plug that right into the side of the unit there. Now that power supply there is only designed to give power to our user interface board, the fault board, and any of the internal circuitry. The actual car parts themselves and the functionality of the trainer definitely needs an additional power supply. So you could purchase a Samlax power supply from ATEC Training, or we've also included lugs here on the front of the trainer so you can use a lead acid battery and a set of suitable jumper cables, or maybe some 4-gauge wiring with some spliced on battery cable ends. Either way, you do need to have two sources of power to make this trainer operate properly. So now that I've got it plugged in on the side, and I'm going to turn my Samlax power supply on, we're going to notice my green LED came on to my fuse block, letting me know that our car and our vehicle components have received power. And I'm going to flip this switch down here at the bottom, which is going to go ahead and supply power to the rest of the trainer. Once we've got this going, we've got our one LED here, our user interface screen should light up, and then now our trainer is ready to get started with. With everything powered up, let's cover how we turn this thing on and see how we can operate our power windows with this. The first step here is to do our ignition switch. We're going to move it all the way to the start position and then bring it back to the run position. That's really important that you bring it back to the run position. You'll notice that in the run position, the LEDs for the power window fuse and the accessory relay come on. That's really important that those LEDs are illuminated, otherwise the unit's not going to operate properly. Now the ignition key's on, we can do the door jar switch. That's going to open the door up, turn the dome light on, then we're going to close the door behind us just like we got back in the car. And then from here, we're going to be able to roll down the windows at each individual door. So down here in the passenger rear, I can press down, we can roll that window down, I can pull back on the switch, that will roll this window motor back up. Same thing with the front passenger seat, same routine there. Same thing with the driver rear, We can go forward and backwards, and the driver's master switch. It does have the auto feature here, so if I press all the way down, you'll hear the motor run without me having to touch the switch. And once the window bottoms out, then the motor will stop. And then we can go auto up from there as well. And we can also control all the other window motors from this switch, just like it works on the car. So we take all of the components that would be traditionally spread throughout an entire vehicle, and we've shortened them down to one exact trainer here. Now, there's a few other unique things about this trainer that we want to touch on before we wrap this video up, so let's look at those. One of the unique features you'll find with most of our trainers is that we have tip jacks available for every pinout that's on the car. But what we do is we get a little confusion sometimes about why do we have two sets of tip jacks that represent the same pin numbers? And what is this little toggle switch used for here on the right? Well, I want to explain how this works. So when the toggle switch is in the up position, it represents the connector being plugged in and closed. If I move the toggle switch to the down position, like this, then that's the same thing as having my connector open. So if you want to look at this plugged in, looks just like this right here. If I flip this down, that's the same thing as reaching over here and unplugging this unit. We don't want students plugging and unplugging on the trainer because that's how connectors get worn out. And so therefore we've included this toggle switch so the students can easily connect and disconnect to isolate a component or isolate a circuit in order to do a resistance check or to check for voltage. This makes for a very, very easy process and allows your students to have the ability to dial in on their diagnosis very quickly. The last small feature that I'd like to discuss before we wrap our video up is our window motor indicator. So sometimes it's hard to tell when you're looking at the motor itself which way it's spinning. Does that mean the window's going up or does that mean the window's going down? And you'll see we've conveniently put in LED indicators that'll light up to let you know what rotation the motor's actually going. So if we pull up like this, then that tells us our window is moving in the up direction. And if I press in, then the other LED lights up, letting us know we're moving in the downward direction. So these are really good indicators for students, especially if they've never worked with any window motors before and they're just getting used to the circuitry. This can really be a good educational aid to help the students get a better understanding of the unit. Thank you for checking out our Quick Start video series on our Power Window Systems trainer. We hope you enjoyed our information we shared today on how to power up and use our trainer. If you'd like more information or more training on any of our equipment, be sure to check us out at atechtraining.com. And you can also see us on social media on LinkedIn or Facebook. And of course, we invite you to check out any of our other YouTube videos available on our channel. Thanks a lot and have a great day.